Hello and welcome to Access Harleywood. We are live on the
Live.
air. Yeah,
Nice. Welcome. Feels good to be back.
it does. Riding through the snow. Can't believe that. Here we are, and we have a foot of snow, and it's
Yeah.
mid-November. Not even. Hey,
Although you actually got to get away from the snow.
I did.
You were actually out in California. I'm
hmm
still waiting for my In-N-Out burger, by the way. But no, what were you? You were out there having some fun meetings. Why don't you tell a little bit about what you were doing out there?
Yeah, so it was my first trip to AFM, which is the American Film Market. It's essentially a place where films are sold in between concept to financiers and producers to distributors and sales agents. And sales agents and outlets, there were a lot of different countries represented. Uh, I mean, amazing hotel right on the beach in
Oh,
Santa
nice.
Monica, and just beautiful sunsets every day.
So it was in Santa Monica.
Yeah, it
Beautiful
was.
place.
Oh my goodness, it
Did
was
you try out Muscle
awesome.
Beach?
No, I did not.
No.
I stayed in Venice,
Oh,
not
Venice is nice.
a
Yeah.
little bit off of Venice Beach. I like that a lot too. But Santa Monica was definitely. I haven't been. I've been to LA now a gazillion times. I feel like over the last 2 years, and Santa Monica is one of them places I haven't been before. Excellent food, great
Oh yeah.
sightseeing. The pier is. I hate to say this, far superior to Malibu's pier.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. AFM was interesting. I pitched to MGM. I pitched to Miramax. I pitched to a couple of the Lionsgate, some
Yeah.
of the big boys, and it was really interesting because I think they were more there to sell than to pick stuff up. In all honesty, which was interesting. Also, I was told that a lot of vendors and a lot of big distributors aren't even on site anymore because they're pushing the prices and they're making it
Oh.
more and more difficult. I guess normally the entry level is open and the bar is open, and several deals have been made. For instance, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I hear he made a deal at the bar on the first floor. That
Best
that
place to make a
cost,
deal.
yeah, I mean it's fantastic, and that's all gone now because you have to be with your little thing. And I was blessed with that too. My distributors hooked me up, I didn't have to pay an arm and a
Oh,
leg to get
excellent.
into this thing. And obviously I met with a whole lot of other people while I was there, so I'm very thankful to. I'll give a shout out to Vision Films for hooking me up and getting me in. And after they took pictures with me, they pretty much just let me have it and hang
That's
out.
excellent. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you have a few projects obviously that you were out there working with, and I remember seeing
hmm
one of your updates saying that you were actually told this might be a little late, but not late, but you should have maybe come to this sooner.
Yes,
That's got to be
absolutely.
great. Yeah.
Well, and the thing that was really intense with this is that I had all my meetings pretty much in 2 days. So I had meetings. I got up at 8 in the morning and I started meeting probably at 9:30 each day,
Oh,
and I wrapped it up at like 10 o'clock. I was done with my meetings, and then the last night I met some Chinese producers that were really interested in what I was doing. Could not believe that we were producing such high quality content for such a low budget rate, which is at large to the fact that we have little opportunity in Michigan, so we can get excellent actors without breaking our back. We can get phenomenal locations without breaking our back. I live in Lake Orion, and we're permit free for filming. And whenever we have weapons or anything like that involved, I call the chief, who was going to retire, which was really hard on me because Jerry Narsh is like awesome.
yes, I saw that. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, he's had police escorts when Dennis Haskins was supposed to shoot an innocent bystander in one of my films. He sent out police escorts so that we didn't have to worry about somebody seeing it and pulling a gun, thinking that it's a real thing going
Yeah,
on.
that's a good thing.
Yes. So they've been amazing to us, and a couple other films. I know the Nain Rouge, the Devil's Night film.
Okay.
I saw the world premiere of that in Santa Monica. They screened it there, which probably cost an arm and a leg.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was also filmed largely in Lake Orion as well.
Oh wow. Good
Yeah.
movie.
Uh, yes, it was a good movie. Very visually pleasing, and it's going to have its local premiere here on Sunday.
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
gonna go see it again. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
got
I
Justin Maine
enjoyed
in
it.
it, correct?
Yeah, it sure does.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Justin's a
Justice
good
Cool
friend.
guy.
Yes.
He was in Eternal Code as well.
Yes.
Good actor.
Which I just
He
got to talk to him about that. I was curious if he fell asleep in Eternal Code, having to lay in bed for the
yeah, right. That's not like his
Nope.
normal nature. I think we should bring in some guests now, though. AFM was a lot of fun, but we have two guests today
Yes.
with an awful lot to say. And the first one is a bit of, I think, a Cinderella story to some degree. I think Jennifer has pulled together a film out of kind of nowhere, and to see how passionate she is about it. She's listed as a writer, producer, and I think in the scene I was in her film, I felt that she was also the director, or at least the co-director. She has a very strong vision for this film, and I'd love to bring her in and talk a little bit more about it.
Let me grab her here. Come on in. Come on in.
Yeah, come on
Have you
in.
sit right over here.
There's a headset for you and a microphone. Yep.
Welcome to Access Harleywood.
Yeah, glad to have you. So excited. I was just saying I got the privilege to be a part, a cameo in your film. And it's so evident how passionate you are about this film and about what this is doing. And I want to hear more about it from your point of view, because I see so much passion, and that's inspiring. Start where where did this come from?
No, I'm not getting any audio. Sorry, 1 second here. Let me make sure. Just try now.
Try it again.
Can you hear me?
There
No,
we
there
go.
we go.
There we go.
Okay. I got the idea to write the screenplay about 5 years ago. And I was standing in my kitchen. And I thought, well, I got this idea for a movie, and decided to download screenwriting software and start writing. And the movie evolved into something so much bigger than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what it started from to what it ended at is just amazing.
Now,
Yeah. I
let's-
mean, it was very inspiring on set. I felt like everybody kind of had that vibe that we're doing something special, and that only happens when you're doing something special. I speak from experience that I can tell when you're on set and you're making something and people are like, "Ooh," and it had that vibe. So I'm curious, how did you create that in others? Because that's the hardest part: is how do you get all the other people that excited?
Honestly, I don't know, because this is my first film.
Yeah, I know.
well, you're doing something right. So
Yes.
So, for it being my first film, it's not my first film set.
Absolutely, yeah.
I worked on studio films. I've worked on so many other films. And I think every time you're on a new film set, you learn something.
Yeah.
Either how not to do something, or what you want in your film.
Yeah.
You know, what you want on set if you were to create your own film. So I was on about a dozen films before I thought, I'm going to make my own movie. So I did learn a lot about, what to do, what not to do, how to inspire people, and, what does not make people, happy to be there.
Yeah.
Things like that. So, and I'm also a very energetic and positive person naturally.
Yeah.
I don't drink coffee. I'm just naturally, but
Have some.
don't eat caffeine. But yeah, I think the story in itself has, just the meaning of the story, and
Yeah.
how it has an inspirational message for people to believe in yourself, follow your dreams, never give up. But it also carries a lot of suspense, and it has a twist, which people find out about the twist and they get excited, and there's a surprise ending and all that. So I think people are just super excited for this to come out and for people to see, and just throughout the entire movie with the suspense and how it's going to keep people on the edge of their seat, and it's going to be so much fun for people to watch. And people that have read the screenplay, I've gotten so much positive feedback
Yeah.
from them, just thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this to come out, because
Yeah.
it's so exciting that it's going to be, it's going to draw people in and make people want to know what happens next, and that type of thing.
So the title's Just Another Dream. And you do have a trailer release. Now, something that was brought to my attention is you actually did you start with the trailer and still continue filming as far as how the production went on this film? Because the trailer is very impressive. I saw that, and I mean, it was very captivating watching this because the production value on it, there's a car accident scene of the flipping the car, that looked amazing. And I'm excited just on the trailer alone, but is that kind of how you
Yeah.
guys went through the process?
We actually created the trailer for getting fund for promotional purposes to get the funding that we needed for the feature because we thought, and it was our director, he's like, we need to create an amazing trailer that really impresses people
You
so we
did?
can go to investors and say, look, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to do this on a bigger scale and make the feature look like this. So he wanted to make sure that it was done right and that it was done impressively so that we could impress investors. And then, so that's what we did. We created the trailer and then started seeking investors. We put together an investor pitch and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the tougher things in film, especially in indie film, is the whole fundraising portion of it. And talk a little bit about how that worked for you, because I hear that people ask me that all the time, like, how did you build the budget?
Yeah.
So if you want to give just
I
like
think-
kind of how it worked for you.
I think for me that is kind of the hardest part because, you know, you can see how a production office works and you can work your butt off to wear as many hats as you can to, you know, save on the budget or, you
Yeah.
know, do everything you can to do all the work yourself. But that's one thing that, you know, if you don't have the budget yourself and you have to go out and seek private investors, is kind of like out of your hands in a sense, except for the fact that you can create the best pitch possible.
Yeah.
And the trailer to go with it is important. So for us, it was, we came up with a pretty impressive pitch packet with very good incentives to lure investors in, you know, with what we were offering them in terms of percent equity and things like that. And then I think it was that along with the trailer that really brought investors on board.
Yeah, and I want to say kudos too, because I see a lot of people, they stop shy of building a real budget, and then they have no star power name. And I saw firsthand being at AFM that the films without names just don't get the run because there's no one that they recognize and there's no built-in clicks, and that's something that's really important, especially when you're running a VOD, which is going to be the main moneymaker for your film. If people look on your cover and they don't see anyone they recognize, they're just not going to watch it. There's a million other things out there to watch, and some of them have 20 of those people in them. So if you don't have any, it's a really tough world to be in.
Yeah, and that was another thing. I did some research and I wanted to find out like which films get distribution, what do we need to do to make this successful? And we did sign a distribution contract before we even started production, and that was one of the things for foreign sales. We're holding off on the domestic contract, but we did sign a foreign sales contract, and that was one of the stipulations that they wanted to see 2 name actors. So
Yeah.
we knew we needed a budget for 2 name
Yep.
actors.
Yeah.
Now we have, are we able to, Christy Swanson
Yes.
attached?
Yep.
Who else involved? Obviously, Harley Wallen, which is fabulous.
I don't count
Yes.
for that.
No, we're very excited about Harley. Dean Cain.
Dean
Yeah.
Cain, excellent. I actually
Yeah.
got to talk to Dean Cain. He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Those two work together quite a bit, it seems. So I imagine the chemistry in that obviously will come through on the film. And are they on scenes together, or are they separate?
They actually could not be there to film on the same days, but they do have like 3 scenes together. We had to, you know, make it look like they're in the scene.
Creative editing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Movie
that's it.
magic.
Right? And it really is. That stuff happens on a regular basis. That's some tricky stuff to do. So before we wrap up, we're still pretty good on time, but before we head out of here, do you want to tell people a little bit about what the movie is about?
Sure. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
There's so much going on in the film. So when I try to explain to people and give a synopsis, and I'm like, oh, but this is happening on the side, and there's this happening. It's all intertwined, and you know all the suspense happening. But the easiest way to explain, I think, is it starts off is the story follows a young girl. She has a head injury. The injury causes her to basically dream the future. So she has dreams. She has foretelling dreams. They don't believe her. They think she's crazy. So she dreams of a robbery and a murder. And before it happens, she sees it happen on the news, and you know they think she's crazy. They have her institutionalized, Well, while she's in the institution, she dreams of the car accident that her mom is driving and her brother and sister are in the back and they die. So a lot of the rest of the movie is her trying to stop the accident before it happens. And, she has to escape from the institution. Her best friend helps her escape, but then there's the twist. So you think they stopped the accident and all this, and then it's like a whole nother thing that's happening. So I don't know how much I can give away.
Yeah, I think we stop right there.
Yeah, I don't want to give away the
It's
No
twist.
spoilers,
it's really
no
intriguing,
spoilers.
and a good actress. Kaden plays the young female who's a really good actress. She's been in a couple of my films, but not a prominent role yet. And never found it, and you found it for her, and I think she's
We are
she's gonna be
super
really good.
impressed by Kaden.
Yeah.
She every day on set, I kept telling her, I'm like, I'm so impressed by you, because I think there's something about Kaden. She just has the ability to thrive in any atmosphere. So there's highs and there's lows on set. There's good days and there's bad days, and there's some days are really exciting and good things happen, but then there's other times that there's bad things that happen, and she just has the ability to thrive and be a great actress in any atmosphere, which I think is amazing because she's only been doing it for a few years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's a mental type of attitude and has very little to do with you as an actor or / actress. It's just how do you
Your
look
character.
at life?
Yeah.
How do you look at life?
And she could be tired and we had a long day and she would never show it, and she's so young too.
Yeah.
So to be able to have that ability is just really impressive to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, she's really good. I think that's one thing that I didn't really get an opportunity to say because we were working pretty quickly when we were on set. But casting is such a huge thing, and casting to me is a huge pet peeve, and I'm kind of an acting snob. So I want to say kudos to you on the casting, because there was
Thank
a
you.
good cast in the film, which is so key, because I see far too many films they cast people because they like them, and it ends up being the Achilles heel of the film. So good job on that.
Thank you. I think I was very picky with the casting, and I wanted everybody to fit their role so well. And there's so many roles that needed a specific type to fit, just to make it what I wanted to see in the role, So I was very picky, and I think it did pay off. But also, I just want to say I feel like we were very blessed in that category, because the actors that just fit the roles so perfectly were just coming, and I'd see them. Obviously, you know them when you see them, and I am not disappointed in one single cast member. And let me tell you, we have over 60 cast members. So
awesome.
it is a lot. It is a huge
Not
cast.
just one, because usually that kind of negative.
And-
No, it gets ratings. No, I'm kidding.
There isn't a single, we had about 30 day players come and just give us a couple lines. And I believe every single one of them fit their role so perfect. It's
Yeah.
just-
It's amazing
and,
when that
and
can
that
come
holds
together.
up everything too, because we'll watch like a Netflix original or a bigger film, and I'll see crappy acting in big films now. So when you do that type of work on casting an indie film, that's why I think indies are really becoming much more mainstream now. I think we figured out the system of bringing some star power in, and then we cast around with really, really good actors. And we don't have to cast people based on their Twitter and Instagram following. We cast the best actor, the best fit, the best screen presence, and all those type of things. And when you do that, I think the sky's the limit. So I'm excited to see what's coming.
I think
Yeah.
there's a large talent pool too, as well, in the area that's growing. That you
for
can
sure.
find the actors that they naturally fit into a lot of the roles when you're looking for them, because there's so much talent out there.
And they get excited to
Yes.
be a part of a good project,
Right.
something that's going somewhere. That
Michigan
gets them
is
really
very
excited.
blessed in that department, let me say,
Yes.
because Michigan, there's a lot of great Michigan actors.
Yes.
And then the second thing, casting is very important, but locations is the second half of
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And we were so blessed with locations on this film. Even when Dean Cain was in town, he was so impressed with our hospital location. He said, "This is really going to add to your production value. Look at what you have here." He was
Oh, that's
just
fabulous.
really impressed by the locations, and the hospital was not the only one. All of our locations, just everybody kept mentioning what
Yeah.
great locations we had to go along with the cast. So
Yeah.
Do
And that means you did your due diligence in pre-production.
yes, for sure.
So
Pre-production.
well, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it really
Oh, yeah.
is.
Well,
You didn't throw it all together and just,
Oh no, we worked really hard, and that was
Yeah.
another thing. After working on a studio film and seeing all of the departments that work for months before the film even starts shooting, I've seen that firsthand from working
Yep.
on a studio film. And then when I'm looking at our production office, and it's like me and our director, that's our casting, that's our production office. And I'm like, how are we even doing this? But it's amazing. Like, we're doing
Yeah.
it, and
It's excellent.
it's been great.
So what are the future plans? Because very few people make one movie and say, okay, I'm done now.
Yeah. So actually, I have already started writing a sequel for. Just
Okay.
Another Dream. Not many people know about that, but I have started writing a
Ooh,
sequel.
exclusive.
And we tried setting it. We tried setting it up specifically for a sequel, but I just wasn't sure if it was going to work
Yeah.
out. But I'm excited about it.
Is it going to be a standalone sequel that you can see without seeing the first one, kind of like the Die Hards, or is it going to be a one that
Yes, that's what the goal.
good, good? I think that's super smart. I think if you do that, I think you have a great opportunity for people to go back and watch the
Right.
next one after. We said that with Bennett's Song. We obviously are close to completed now on Bennett's Song Holiday, and I said it's such a different film with still the same ingredients. You think about like you make meatballs and mashed potatoes. You could also have done oven roasted potato slices and what was it called? But yes, same same ingredients, but completely different.
Spice it up
food.
a little bit
Yeah,
with different spices.
exactly. So that's the same thing we did, and I was a little bit afraid that it was going to be really, really good, and then people wouldn't see it because they didn't see the first one. So I'm like, we got to make sure people understand that they can see this one.
Yes.
It's not a sequel. It's more. I mean, it is.
Right.
If you start watching it, you know where we're coming from, but you don't need to see the first
Right.
one to enjoy the second one.
I
That's
enjoy that
good.
storytelling because it seems like if they do, a lot of the sequels make that mistake of just
Yes.
resetting the characters and then rehashing some of the same
Yeah.
storyline instead of just kind of look at it as an anthology. You can keep the characters, tell an original story, and like you say, that may now backtrack to the original if they're interested in that
Yeah.
film. And I do appreciate that type of storytelling.
Yeah.
Where's the film at now currently? Is it completely, obviously it's post-production.
Well, we have wrapped principal photography with the exception of 2 pickup days. We need 1 pickup day for stunts and 1 for ice and snow. We were waiting, and it's here. So
It's here. Yeah.
yeah.
Wasn't expecting it this soon. But
Yeah,
you
not
got
that
it.
much this
We
soon.
were thinking December, January. We were going to
Yeah.
have to wait for ice and snow for a winter scene, but we won't have to wait that long.
Nope.
You might as well go now because
Yeah, I
it's
was
still a
gonna
little
say,
warmer.
yeah.
It's-
Yeah, and thank God we got our fall scenes in when we did because we were thinking we had fall
wow.
scenes and we're like, oh, we can film them in October or November, but
Yep.
we got them in October, thankfully.
Yeah.
we had a whole week. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 1 week of fall.
where can people go to find more information? It's Bluebird Productions is the Facebook page.
Yes, there's a Facebook page and there's an IMDb page, and that's it for now. We are working on a website, but
Yeah.
No, definitely. Like I said, check the trailer out because I was highly impressed
Yeah.
by it. So I would recommend anyone watching this after the episode. Wanna
Yeah,
check out
and,
the
and
epi- go
you,
check
you
out the
do a
trailer.
lot of stuff on the page as well. There's pretty interactive and stuff, and behind the scenes photos and whatever else. So definitely a place worth following. Is there anywhere else people can follow you? Follow the film?
not currently. No.
Okay. All right.
Other than my personal Facebook page,
Yeah. And what is that?
Jennifer Lee Franz.
Jennifer
Yeah.
Lee France. Okay.
And that was tagged in the post for this, so they could actually click that over.
Perfect.
Yes, I think I post more on that actually. My personal page. I need to get better on posting on the production page.
Oh yeah, I have the same thing, and after you get a few films in, I feel like I have 20 of these things now to somehow maintain, and it's like a lot
yeah,
of work.
that's a lot.
I remember when our distributor asked me, "How many people do you have working on your social media, Princess?" And I'm like, "Me."
Yeah. You're like, I am my social media.
Yeah.
Like,
People.
Yeah. The other distributor asked if our social media people are full time or part time.
oh wow.
That's a good thing, though. I mean, they're looking
Oh,
at
yeah.
your presence.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've been guessed in budget anywhere from $1 to $5 million, and I'm like,
I get asked that all the
Wow.
time.
yeah,
No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
That's good. That
yes,
means
that's a good
that
thing.
means you take what you have and you do something amazing with it and make people think that you spent a lot more money than you did.
Yeah, I think a little bit of this Midwest mentality of being frugal. I mean, sometimes I'm flat out cheap
Yeah.
on certain things, unfortunately, especially paying myself. Because it's one of them things that you just don't have the luxury of doing. We made, I don't even 3 films before any of our team got paid at all,
Wow.
at all. So like here I am driving Lyft in between making movies, and people, oh, you're rolling in it. I'm like, no. Yeah, it
Yeah.
takes a while to see the returns on the films, but
Right.
yeah, it's still the coolest thing ever to be a part and to do this, and
Yeah.
even though it's
Well, like we were
takes
saying,
time.
the talent pool in Michigan is so strong, and the
It
people,
is.
there's so many people here who want it. And I
Hmm.
think having the film incentive here and then it going away,
Hmm.
there's a there's such a want to have this
Hmm.
industry take off here. I think, and you can see that in people's performance,
Yeah.
what they're willing to do, and how much they want to come together. Because there is it is a family community. It's interesting. I'm new to all this, but to see when you meet somebody that they know, somebody that then knows somebody, and it's interesting to watch the spider web unfold, and how everyone's just excited to help each other. And
It
I
is.
think that's a great culture to build
Yeah.
here in Michigan. I think to make the film industry work.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And thank you for coming in and being a part of it, and doing such a good job
Thanks
at
for having me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But even as far as the film community, and doing what you're doing, because we need more people that put out strong content with a good plan, with films that go someplace. And I have no doubt that we're going to be seeing Just Another Dream all over the
More
place pretty
Bluebird
soon.
Productions.
Yes.
Great. Thank
All
you.
right. Anything else before
Yeah.
we wrap?
I was just gonna say that we're really excited about the future of Bluebird Productions, and we hope to make everyone proud with what we put out
Yeah.
year after year.
Go follow
No doubt.
people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
All right.
exciting.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you. Nice meeting you. All right, Harley, what do we got going next?
Well, we have more fun stuff. We have another filmmaker coming in, and this guy, I've heard so much and have so many friends that's a part of his. It started out as a feature film, and I believe that there's more to it now because I looked on IMDb and there are 2 listings with the same name. So it sounds like he might have overshot a little bit. So let's
Too much
let's
good
bring
footage to
in
cut, right?
Matt Bush and let's find out.
Harley, what's up? What's going on?
Max,
Hey.
welcome.
Have a seat.
You're like the hardest working guy in independent film. I feel like I should be the one picking your brain and
Oh,
hearing all of your stories.
I-
It's great.
I think the cool thing with this is that there are so many people in Michigan, and I think I'd say fairly collaborative as far as helping each other out, and getting people distribution tips. And somebody gets an offer from somebody and they'll call me. It's like, hey, is this distributor any good? And then I'll share my experience. And I think most people here are very willing to do that, and that's really cool.
I've noticed that too. It's very different in Hollywood. Usually people are very territorial with their
Mhm.
information or who they're working with and stuff. And here, like everyone just really wants to help the community because anytime someone wins, it's like it's a win for Michigan.
all
It's
of
a
us,
win for all of
yeah.
us. So I think that's definitely true. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
let's go back to that Hollywood thing.
Yeah.
What project were you a part of that I heard got big? Something about space, something. I don't
Oh,
know.
jeez.
I-
So most people know me for Star Wars, the Star Wars work that I do.
Yeah.
And I'm primarily an illustrator, so I work on various merchandise, licensing, posters, book covers.
How
all
long do
kinds
we have
of
the
stuff.
studio?
I know.
So it's great. And actually, I just got back today from Chicago. I was there last night
So
for
jealous.
the premiere of The Mandalorian, and I got to see the first 3
He's a
episodes.
bit obsessed with
It
it.
is.
so-
Have you seen the first
I
episode?
saw the first episode. I
Yeah.
saw your post about being in Chicago last night.
Oh my
and you got to
gosh,
see the first
it was
3.
crazy, and the next 2 do not disappoint. It is I don't know what you think, but
Oh.
I think it's the greatest Star Wars since Star Wars. It is
Oh.
so good.
So I'm a
love hearing
huge Dave Filoni fan.
Oh, yeah, Dave is great.
The Clone Wars to me is the pinnacle for the Star Wars universe. Obviously, the original trilogy is what we all grew up and loved. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the Clone Wars told a story that was closest to it. And watching Mandalorian, Dave Filoni directed that. It's interesting because him and Favreau have worked together for years. Favreau was a voice of Pre Vizsla in Clone Wars.
Right.
Now they're making this show together, and it was interesting. All the tie-ins, and I've said from day one, and I don't want to get negative about Kathleen Kennedy taking over Star Wars, but I've been very vocal all the time on my show about it. But I feel Dave Filoni should be running the Star Wars universe, and then watching Mandalorian
Yeah.
just validated
Oh
all
yeah.
of that, because everything about this show. I mean, he validated Life Day,
Yeah.
which was from the abandoned holiday special that
Right.
nobody wants to remember, and
Yeah.
he throws it in there, and he has those touches,
Mhm.
and he's so true to Star Wars, and he
Somebody
does it in
being
such
truly
a great
submerged
way.
in it.
Yeah.
Yes, but he does it perfectly. Where
I think, and what's great about it is it's not just fan service, but it's fan service with a purpose where the
Right.
story is good. It's not just throwing in a probe droid just to throw in a probe droid for no reason.
Right.
Like everything you see is there for a reason, and it's magical. It's
It is.
really, really
and
good.
to see the Blurg, which originated on Clone Wars,
Right.
you know, he has those ties. Now, I want to get your. We'll get into the movie, but I do want to get your feedback on. So, do you think is the tie-in from Clone Wars started? The very first episode, there was a baby Hutt,
All
and without giving too much of a spoiler, there's a baby, very popular, well-known species at the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a Filoni tie-in, or do you think that was a written? I feel like that's too coincidental for Filoni to be attached
Gosh,
to both.
you know what? I didn't really think of that connection. So I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But all I can say is, if you were intrigued with how that first episode ends,
Very.
you are going to be. The second episode, I think, is even better than the first,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
it just goes in awesome directions. It's so good.
I mean, the
so
production
good.
value was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's how many episodes is the first season?
It's 8.
Eight
They're
episodes?
10 million each, so it was only 80 million, and it's like the best Star Wars ever.
Yeah.
Isn't
So
it
good.
crazy that like Friends was more? You know, it's like
right.
Yeah,
Right.
Think
An
about that
episode
for a
of Friends.
second.
That's crazy.
I mean, if you think of the production, you know, when you look the first episode, I mean, they were done with a lot of the filming before even Pedro Pascal had signed on, and you see that in episode 1 that
Yeah.
he's not seen in it. He's voiceover acting throughout the whole thing, so that's not him in the suit, obviously. But when you see how creative they are at filming the series
Yeah.
to get around things like that, and traditional effects, I loved that they
Yes.
brought
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
some traditional effects. The droid with the walking legs. I mean,
Right.
just
Conk.
yeah, it was so great. But
Yeah.
no, I love the first episode. And another thing, if you don't mind, he's part of the 501st, and that's the
It's the Stormtrooper. Yeah, it's the League of Stormtroopers.
Yes.
So they're a nonprofit organization, and they go to children's hospitals, and they march in a lot of the parades and stuff like that. And they're totally welcomed and endorsed by Disney and Lucasfilm. And I am one of the honorary members, and I was the first honorary member to get my armor. So I actually have Stormtrooper armor that when my weight is down a little bit, I totally put it on, and I got the blaster, and I hide behind the couch, and I
That's
I
awesome.
run through the house, and it's great.
No, that's excellent.
There were 2 stormtroopers guarding one of the offices at AFM. I thought
Okay.
that was
Oh, really?
hilarious. Yeah, I thought it
Awesome.
was awesome. They were standing outside the whole time.
Oh,
great.
that's funny.
Yeah.
No, it's great that the outreach that they do, and was there some conflict at all when Disney? Because I thought I had read early on when Disney first purchased Lucasfilm that the 501st to be, like you say, now endorsed by Disney.
Yeah,
That there was
no.
actually a little hiccup there.
If there was, I haven't heard anything of it. Disney's actually been pretty awesome in that regard, and I think they've seen. There's been a couple other studios that started to kind of hold back what the fans were doing, and they realized it was biting the hand that feeds. I think
Right.
DC Warner Brothers was one of the first. They started kind of putting the kibosh on fan films that weren't really making any money or anything. But I don't know if you saw a couple years back, there was like some Batman short films that were better than what the studios were
Yeah.
putting out, and I think like maybe they were a little embarrassed.
Yeah.
But they started putting the kibosh on it, and fans just got upset, and it wasn't helping their brand by biting the hand that
Right.
feeds. You know.
Now there's
Yeah.
the Red Hood, which is I think better than
Yeah.
a lot of the.
Yeah.
So
Even the Batman Nightmare that I was a part of, they did amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is all kinds
the
of
fan
of
films
views,
out
yeah.
there are amazing. It's
Bat in
especially
the
Star
Sun is
Wars.
great too. They do some cool stuff.
Mhm.
So,
So-
you do illustration?
Yes, illustration is primarily what I do for Star Wars. So I've illustrated lots of posters, book covers. You've seen my artwork on T-shirts at Kohl's,
Oh wow,
coffee mugs.
that is
you know.
awesome.
I love
And,
it.
and now
Yeah.
you do also like a zombie. Or,
Yeah, the
that's-
Hollywood is dead stuff. So
Hollywood.
what happened with that? That was actually something that Lucasfilm contacted me and they wanted me to illustrate at the time the first 6 Star Wars films, but zombify them, so repaint the posters,
Okay, yeah.
which
Oh,
was
cool.
fun for me, but then make them all, bloody and
Yeah, that's so cool.
zombified or whatever. And
Some
then
very
that
cool
just
artwork.
that exploded. Then that was highlighted on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, and then it just exploded, and it was on G4 TV back in the day.
God, I
and
love
stuff.
G4
And
TV.
So,
So yeah, G4 TV, man,
yeah.
one of my favorite channels.
So I did. So I'm a huge movie poster buff. So
Yeah.
I illustrated over 100 classic movie posters and kind of did the whole zombie twist. And that was just a fun side
They're
thing I had
fabulous.
going
I've
on.
thumbed through a bunch of those, and yeah, it's
Awesome.
very impressive. I do
Thank
like
you.
those a
Yeah,
lot.
very creative, and with your film that is now films with an S.
Yes, it is films with
I'd
an
love
S.
to hear more about that, but
Yeah.
I have heard such amazing things about your sets, and I was like, if he called me to be a day player, I'd be so on that because I just want to see.
Yeah.
I've heard such amazing things. So talk about how did you even learn how to do something like that to create something that's just visually amazing?
Yeah. Well, when I was growing up, I was kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. So illustration was something that was always there. I always liked to draw, but I didn't have a lot of money growing up. I did have my parents' video camera though, so I was always making like ninja movies, when I was in middle school. But the idea of going to film school back when film was still shot on film, it was just so expensive. It was just kind of like off my radar a little bit. So I went to Hollywood and just kind of followed my dreams being an illustrator, but working in movies. And then kind of the 90s transitioning into the 2000s, technology just became so available that anyone with one of these can make a movie, and just editing became easier and more achievable. So I kind of started making my own short films, and kind of when YouTube started, Lucasfilm had me doing webisodes for how to draw Star Wars, and that became this big thing. So it just kind of expanded from there, and it's been a long journey, but it's just a lot of it is just the technology has been available, and it's just been this slow rise. And then I've got this big passion project that that's my magnum opus.
Yeah.
is,
So how is that all going? I mean, it's been worked on for several years.
Yeah, well, more than several. It's been if you start back to when I started writing it, it's been like 2 decades. It's called Aladdin 3477. It's essentially the story of Aladdin, but it's set 1,500 years in the future, and it's the story of Aladdin, but it looks visually kind of like Star Wars, set in Asia. It kind of has a Bollywood feel to it, but it feels more like Indiana Jones because it's very adventure, globe-trotting kind of discovery. But the actual structure of the story, even though it's nothing like Lord of the Rings, it's actually the epic scope of it is kind of like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where it's kind of in Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and it took us 5 years to film the entire thing, and we just finished last March filming it. And so now it's
How is post-production going?
it's going awesome. It's not as quick as I would like. I mean, I'd like for it to be done, and I'd like to share it with the world tomorrow. But it's nice that once we finished filming, it was a huge relief, because that way, actors can gain weight, they can lose weight, they can get gray hair. They're like, we're all set, so it's all smooth sailing from here.
That's
but it's
great.
also nice because I get to take my time and really make sure the editing is just pitch perfect, and the sound is great, and extra visual effects. Although most of it is practical effects, there are some digital touches, to really sweeten it up. But yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, there's such a huge community that's a part of it, and usually I tell people that you kind of want to be a little quicker at getting your product out, because people move on and they do other projects, and they may not be quite as excited and share. You don't have that problem.
Well, it's what it's been. I've tried to. There is such a thing as too much too soon, and so I've been really. I've tried to be strategic in what I'm actually showing and sharing, because the last thing I want is, once it's time to show the world, I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I've already seen this, or to watch a trailer and be like, yep, saw that set, saw that character, yeah, and then lose interest. So I'm kind of trying to show bits and pieces to keep people excited, but I can't wait to to pull the
To
curtain
unveil,
and,
yeah.
and unveil, and
Yeah.
hopefully,
Well,
hopefully it gets a lot of wows.
especially with a film like that, because we do make good indie films in Michigan. There's quite a few people now, whether they're in shorts or features, that do really cool content that goes places. But we haven't done anything like this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm excited about it. I'm kind of doing all the things that they say not to do. Most independent movies are romantic comedies or mob movies, and that's all great. But for every single shot of this movie, we never had an opportunity where we just needed a living room. Oh, let's shoot in someone's living room, or we need a car, and hey, I've got a Ford Taurus. Awesome, let's use that. I mean, every single ship we had to build. We built miniatures, and then every cockpit we had to build the set for that. Every costume. I mean, it was. I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I'm on the other side of it now. But I can't imagine ever doing that again.
Where did you do the filming? Because that's what's running through my head.
Yeah,
what was this?
We rented a. It's not really a sound stage. It's just an industrial place that we rented, and unfortunately, I had to. The cheapest lease I could get, or the shortest lease I could get, was a 3-year lease. And when we started filming, I thought for sure, I knew it was going to take a long time, but I was like, 5 months will be done, and then hopefully I can just buy out of my lease. So that ended up taking 5 years. So I actually I'm still paying the lease on this soundstage. I'm not even using.
Man, yeah.
So
yeah.
anyone watching it,
filmmakers, if you're looking for set,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, sure.
Rent it out.
Absolutely.
Rent it out, absolutely. And I'm sure you have things that they can maybe rent from you too.
Yeah, there's all kinds of cool props, and there's lots of sci-fi stuff that. Yeah.
I mean, what do you? Yeah, what
makes
what
me
do you
want to
do
make a
with
sci-fi
that,
movie
with
right
all
now.
that?
It's as heartbreaking as it was for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Every time they made a Star Wars movie, they would build a life-size Millennium Falcon, and then they would burn it because it was cheaper just to get rid of it and build another one when they needed it than to store it somewhere. So sadly, a lot of it had to be destroyed. But I actually have Aladdin has this ship called a sky sail, and it's essentially like a little sailboat that flies in the sky, and I actually have it in my garage, which is
Nice.
it's like my pride and joy. Some guys when they hit middle age, they have to get like the red car, or the nice boat. I've got a sky sail sitting in my garage.
I'd say you're winning.
Yeah. Well, no one can say they've got that.
No.
No. So this is now you've filmed. Are you doing the editing yourself as well?
Yeah, I've got some help. I've got some other eyes looking at it and stuff. But essentially, all the editing I'm doing a lot of the visual effects, but more of the easier stuff. And then I'm outsourcing a lot of the stuff that's just, kind of way over my head, and just really trying to make it, as good as I can. It's my magnum opus, and then hopefully it does well. Everyone has worked so hard. Working on this. So
what about the
excited.
music? Because I know that's a very big piece for films like this.
So the music is it's a combination of things. So I've licensed a lot of Bollywood music, but also Cell Dweller is an artist. He does a lot of music for the Marvel movie trailers, and lots of, I think, the Halo video games and stuff like that, and just all kinds of really cool music. So I've licensed a lot of music from him. He's a friend of mine, so which is awesome because I get a little bit of a discount. I actually tried licensing a song from Bjork, if you know who Bjork is.
Yeah.
And it's not even one of her famous songs. And to have 1 minute and 14 seconds of a song most people don't even know, it was $38,000.
Whoa.
And it was like new car, little bit of Bjork in my movie. I was like, I can't do it.
Well, like I say,
can't do it.
Bjork song and Sucker Punch. That
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, that was
best scene
great.
of the whole movie.
Yeah,
I'll say that one thing is most people don't think about that, but film music is so potent, and it really guides how you feel about everything you see. And there's some fun videos on YouTube where they score it differently.
right.
And it is hilarious.
they redo
There's
movie
actually one
trailers,
with
yeah.
Darth Vader
Okay.
where they're making him and one of his subordinates kind of like sexy.
Sure.
And when it looks
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
The whole
Well,
thing looks different.
There's a Celine Dion that they always do, where they did like the
Oh,
Kylo
yeah.
Ren
Oh, my
and
God.
Yeah.
Ray fight with Celine Dion playing.
Oh,
and
my
it's
God.
hilarious. It actually timed out pretty well too to all the cuts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, definitely sound is half of the experience. So
So you filmed so much that you were looking at one film. It's now going to be two.
3.
It will be
It's
three.
it's a
I
trilogy.
heard the rumor of the trilogy. I was on IMDb and I saw 2,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
And there is a
a
there
third.
is a third, and it's kind of an interesting thing that happened. It wasn't really planned that way, and it wasn't something that I really extended. It definitely had a 3-part story kind of from the beginning, but there was just something that happened when right from the very first scene, you write a script, and they've kind of got this rule that like a page of script is a minute of film. So the very first scene was only 3/4 of a page, which would make you think, all right, it's 45 seconds. But
There
then
was
when I
action.
edited it, it was like 2.5 minutes. And I was like, how does that work? And I think part of it is that sci-fi, because you have to show how everything works, you don't want to slow it down. But it's not like a movie that takes place in modern day where if someone goes to someone else's house, you just say, hey, let's go to their house. And then you're already at their house because
Yeah.
you don't need to show driving a car or what is it like to open the door of a car or put the
Yeah.
key in the ignition. No one really
Yeah.
needs to know that.
Nope.
But when you're doing sci-fi, everyone wants to know, wait, how did they get there? What is
Yeah.
that? Well, that's their ship. What is it? How does
does
the
it
hatch
move? Yeah.
open when they go in? How does the door, and
Yeah.
there's so much. And I think it, hopefully it doesn't slow down the pace, but it just,
I don't think
you need to show that, you need to, and I think it just doesn't slow down the pace, but it does kind of make the story a little
Yeah.
bit longer.
but I think from everything I've seen with the sets and whatnot, I don't think I think that it's interesting enough that it keeps your attention. It's like good acting. Some people would, you watch Tequila Sunrise, and if you are from today's generation, you don't
Yeah.
have the attention span for this. But if you can put your phone down and follow the story, it's a really good film. But all they're doing is essentially sitting and talking the whole film through, and they're in here an awful lot. But the script was good enough to suck you in.
Right.
The thing with a film like that is you have the acting and you have really good actors on top of having sets and screens that are amazing. I don't think that it's going to drag.
So are you going for more of like a Fifth Element look or like a Blade Runner?
Gosh, all of the above. It probably, I wish it looked like Blade Runner, but it's probably closer to Fifth Element. It's
Yeah.
probably closer to what the look is.
That's
Yeah. And the sound of it too is probably a little bit more, Fifth
like an
Element.
outpace, yeah. And like you were saying, the backtrack a little bit, how just going from one place to another, people want to see the effects. So
Yeah.
to see a car drive, everyone's seen. But when you're doing a sci-fi film, you need to take the time, like you say, to get in the ship and then show them flying. You got
Yeah.
the aerial view. People want to see the landscape. There is a lot more that you do need to input in
Yeah.
those shots, especially starting the story off. That's amazing, and that's a big task to be jumping into.
As an independent
as an
filmmaker,
independent-
especially, it's I just got to take my hat off to that, because that's starting with a bite that's bigger than. I mean, people say that I do a lot of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but I haven't built any sets like that.
Yeah, it's I was very fortunate that we had the space, but also my family and my ex-wife's family were super helpful, and everyone on set pitched in to. We built underground caves and just like all kinds of crazy stuff. It was wild. It's unbelievable to think of the amount of work, and I just can't wait to share it with everyone.
Yeah.
What's your time frame or your goal? I mean, when are you
Gosh.
setting for yourself that you would like to have this? I imagine you can't set a hard date right now.
Yeah, it's so tough. Well, I'm working on all 3 movies. The first movie is the closest. The original cut of the first movie was 2 hours and 45 minutes. But no one wants to see a 2 hour and 45-minute Aladdin movie, even me. I don't want to see that. So right now it's down to 2 hours and 4 minutes, and I want to get it down to just under 2 hours. I
Yeah.
think would be a nice kind of sweet spot for that. And then I'm about halfway through editing the second movie, about a third of the way editing the third movie. And I don't know if I need them to be finished before releasing the first one, but I would like them to be a little bit,
Yeah.
Close.
closer, just because once I pull the trigger, I don't want to be
Yeah.
frantically like finishing the other 2. It'd be cool
Yeah.
if they could come out a year apart.
And if you get a bit of a cult following or an explosion, even better, you'll be very busy doing the media round
Yeah.
and all that stuff, and you kind of want to have.
Yeah, I want to
that
enjoy
done.
it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've, do you guys remember when the Lord of the Rings movies came out? Did you guys ever watch the production diaries
Yes.
that Peter Jackson would do. They were so amazing. But for both of the trilogies that he did, it seemed like leading up to that first movie, the production diaries were so awesome. But then after that, he barely did any of the production diaries. But when he did, he seemed so exhausted and like he just wasn't enjoying it. And I remember thinking that like now you're in the middle of it. Like now is the time to enjoy it. So I feel like I want to hopefully take a learning thing from that. And if I can have just a little bit more of it done.
Yeah.
So I would love to really enjoy, especially after all that work. I'd love to really enjoy the.
Yeah, and
the,
I mean, you should be at that point. You should be parachuting. Shouldn't be a whole lot of work left.
Yeah.
It should feel like celebrating the films at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super stoked.
So the first one's rough cut. Are you still working on finalizing visual effects? Is it just the
Visual
rough edit?
effects and sound, and we've got ADR in the whole bit. So there's lots, but it's looking good. It's looking better. Like not a day goes by that I'm not working on it, and it's getting better and better.
I can't imagine the hard drive space he needed. To,
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I've got
Shot
three.
in 4K.
It is. Yep.
Wow.
Or 4K cameras. It's not actually shot in 4K,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it's a global shutter 4K. I forget what they call it. I don't know the technical term. But
So
yeah.
the finish will be an HD film.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been doing the 4K and then doing pushes and because that takes so much time to do real time. So we do a steady shot or whatever, and then in post we do a push in because that way you save a whole lot of time.
And I
you
can't
can
imagine
finish.
the space you would have for that because already like these movies, I've got 3 Drobos that each one has 5-6 terabyte drives in it. Like it's
Yep.
crazy.
And and I wonder too with the quality. And I understand TVs, everybody wants clearer, crisper pictures, but I almost feel like the trend of viewing things now, whether it be 4K or whatever the next gen, that they're pushing, but more people I feel like they're watching smaller screens or they're watching that. I start to wonder if how high do we need to go because I see a lot of people now. They're watching the stuff on their phones, or they're watching a condensed picture, or if it's on a computer.
I think some charm gets lost too in this documentary look.
Right.
With when we make it that crisp, I don't need to see every detail.
I was going to
behind
say
it.
it's a little distracting when you're counting the blackheads in people's noses and
Yeah.
stuff. That's
It's
a
the
little
BBC
weird.
effect. I always
Right.
call it. When it
Yeah.
just like what they tried with The Hobbit. I didn't like that. It
Didn't feel
work
right.
for it.
Too
Yeah,
much,
I
yeah.
want the film. I'll stand with Tom Cruise on this when it's like turn your motion blur on your TV.
Yeah.
Like turn that off. Like
Yeah.
you want the blur in your movies. You
Yeah.
you want that in the film. It's purposely shot like that.
Yeah.
So watch it the way it was intended. And
Yeah.
I agree with that. I also I've
Motion
never
smoothing.
watched a movie on my phone.
No,
I'm that
Yeah, I
guy.
don't think I have either.
Yeah, I just think that the experience still belongs in the theater, and thank God now we've gotten big enough TVs that we have little mini theaters in our living rooms because you can actually get a decent experience there. But I don't get this, and not only that, but
I
I
catch
think
myself. Yeah.
I just know a lot of people. An eye doctor that I just talked to recently said that the kids these days are not going to have they're going to have terrible vision by the time they're 25 years old. They won't be able to really see because their eyes there's no depth of field that they have to actually tend to
Right.
for so many hours a day, and they're on these
Yeah.
things like nonstop.
I
So,
didn't
yeah.
need glasses till last year. So
My eyesight too in the last year has really
Yeah.
gone downhill. But it's crazy because the first Avengers movie that came out like 6 years ago, that was the biggest money-making movie of the year, and yet more people watched that movie on one of these than they did in the theaters, and it was the biggest money-making movie in theaters that year.
yeah,
So that's
I think everyone's just on the
crazy.
go, on the fly,
Yeah.
and when it's convenient to watch. I mean, I catch myself all the time where I can pop this on, set it aside, and while I'm either exercising in the gym, I can get through an episode or watch get through half of a movie at that time, and
yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of people doing it. I mean, we mentioned on the last episode of the new streaming service that is going to be putting out like 10-minute episodes
Yeah.
of show. That's all it's going to feature, and it's because
Crazy.
people are always
Yeah.
watching things on the go, and it's interesting that
yeah.
but sci-fi films, I will stand by. You need a big screen.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
need to watch it, lights off. Get the
Yeah.
full effect of sci-fi. These don't work for
And
that.
the epicness of usually the music is a much bigger player in sci-fi films as well, which I really dig.
Yeah.
Normally, I say if you can remember or react to the score, it's been overscored, but not
Okay.
in sci-fi.
Yeah.
No.
And
No.
even like Rocky, everybody knows the songs Rocky,
Sure.
so I guess that's overscored then, which I don't
Well,
think.
I'd say one of the best scores, the new Tron. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that score was just with Daft Punk.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie was, was a good movie, but not
Yeah.
great. But man, you can pop on that soundtrack and the
Yeah.
score, like you hear that music and you know that's Tron, and
Yeah.
it can really move you through.
Yeah.
I do want to ask a little sidetracked. I hope we still have time. Other than Star Wars,
Yeah.
what is your favorite film? Like, what are you a big all in sci-fi? Or?
No, it would actually probably surprise people. My favorite movie of all time is a French film called Amélie.
Oh yes.
don't know
I
if
know
you've
that,
seen
yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite movie. And then my second favorite is probably The Fall, which is directed by Tarsem. If you've ever seen that.
No.
And then my third is probably Magnolia, which was
Oh yes.
yeah,
Tom Cruise. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, that was that. I thought that movie was amazing.
Yeah.
and I think it doesn't get the play it deserves
No.
at all.
No, to me it still holds up. It's just such
Yeah.
an incredible the emotions behind it and stuff.
He went to
Wild.
3. We got to round out top 5. I mean,
All right, let's
it's
go.
just insane. I've never had
geez,
anyone be able to just name them off in order like this. So.
4 would be Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then
That's my
Good
favorite of the Indiana
choice.
Jones, and
Okay.
everybody has that as their
really?
other than the last one.
it's
but
kind of tied with Temple of Doom for me. Raiders is a better movie, but Temple of Doom is
I love
on
Temple.
repeat viewing is probably my favorite. And then 5, just off the top of my head, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
such a great movie.
No,
Wow.
Well, yeah,
that's a pretty interesting.
it's a good
Kind of
movie.
all over the place.
it
That's
is
cool.
all over the place.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars movies, but yeah, not even in my top 5.
Yeah.
Although Mandalorian, if that was a movie like what I saw last night, that would be in there. That was really good.
Man, now
Wow.
you've got me excited. Next time you go to Chicago, I'll pay. Just take me
Awesome.
along. No.
All right.
Yeah. You'll be his Uber.
Next time they give you some more Mandalorian screenings, I'm in.
All right. Now, how can people follow along and find out more
Yeah.
and be there? Because I'm sure you're going to have, if you're local, there'll be some form of screening involved, and I'm sure people are going to want to go to that and also
Absolutely.
see all these little leaks.
Yeah. So there's Aladdin3477.com. So Aladdin has 2 D's in it. And then you can also go to mattbush.com or find me on social media. And it's BUSCH, spelled like the beer, not like the shrub.
Bush.
All right.
Right?
All right. That's awesome. Any closing thoughts other than this winter sucks? Winter's
this
not even here.
So you subscribe to Disney Plus?
I haven't yet, but I will be. It's just, I knew I was going to see it last night. So tomorrow, because I need to watch it again.
Now
so
you-
I'll be,
yeah.
Tomorrow's the
I'll be
next
subscribing
episode, then
tomorrow.
every Friday
Yeah.
after that. But
Wow.
I did.
I actually really enjoy when they do the appointment watching. I still
Yeah.
don't. I don't actually binge watch anything. I wish I had the time to binge. I hear people like, "Yeah, we watched the whole season." I'm like, how?
My favorite show of
How
all
do you
time
do
was
that?
The Shield. That was on FX years ago.
Yeah.
Vic Mackey, amazing show, just gripped me. And I was talking about this earlier, where my wife, I had her watch the whole series. I have it on DVD, and to her, she was like, "That was a really good series." But you can tell binging versus having the wait. I spent 7 years growing with Vic Mackey and the Strike
Right.
Team, and when that ended, you lose like a part where you're like,
Yeah.
man, I've had these people around for
Yeah.
7 years and it's gone now. There's a void there.
Yeah.
And when you binge, I feel like that emotion's disconnected from a lot of people. You don't
Yeah.
get that. You watch
No.
7 years condensed in a month
Yeah.
where you just run through it.
That
and
was
you're like,
Game
"That
of
was good."
Thrones and Dexter
Game of
for
Thrones.
me.
Yeah, and then another
Yeah.
great one was Lost. And what was the greatest thing about Lost was it would come out on a Sunday night, and it would always have some cliffhanger, mysterious ending. But then the next day,
Everybody
at work
talking about it,
was
yeah.
talking about
Oh,
it and
yeah.
like what's going to happen. And it was for a week, and then you'd have the next one. So, and then people would catch up and binge watch.
Yeah.
Binge watch that. But I agree. If it's something really good, and especially if it's got intrigue and
Yes.
mysteries and stuff, I dig when it's episodic and just
Yeah.
released in small chunks,
Yeah.
so people can talk about
Right.
it and get on
Well, it's-
forums and message
It's
boards
free
and stuff.
publicity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're all
absolutely.
talking
I
Mandalorian,
agree.
and we can't wait for the next episode, and they're getting all this publicity around it. And I've heard complaints about them holding these off for weekly, but I
It's only
commend
because
them for
it's
doing
only
that.
because they're so good. That's
Yeah,
why there are people
yeah.
complain. That's a good thing.
Because you
Yes.
can't do this if you don't have a good enough project.
Yeah.
I
It
do
wouldn't
have-
work.
I do
'Cause
have to say a hidden
people
gem.
be blah.
Yes, they'll be upset, but I have to say a hidden gem on Disney Plus is the Jeff Goldblum documentary
my God.
series.
I haven't seen
is
that.
on-
Is it good? I want to watch that.
They're doing the same thing. There's just one episode out right now, and he
Yeah.
he covered sneakers and like the underground world about how like collectible sneakers are
Yeah.
and like
Oh.
custom made sneakers. I mean, people, the amount of money that's in this industry
Yeah.
opened my eyes, and he's so entertaining to watch. He
Oh my
just
God.
you can't get
I
enough
can't wait.
Goldblum. And it's another one where I'm excited for the next episode, but I don't like. I'm fine to not
Yeah.
have them all right there to jump
Yeah.
into it. Like
Yeah.
I'm excited to wait for it and then watch the next one when it comes
That's
out.
very
But
cool.
it is definitely worth checking out on Disney Plus. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
All right, let's wrap this up. Thank you, Matt
Yeah,
Bush, for coming
Matt,
in.
awesome.
And,
Thank you.
Awesome
Absolutely.
meeting you. Awesome meeting you
Yes.
here.
and then we'll talk about the snow.
Yeah, no one wants to talk about that.
All right. So to wrap it up, it's been a great show. Thanks for coming
Yes,
back, driving all the way up here in this beautiful
No,
Michigan
I
weather.
enjoy it. This is a lot of fun, and I'll be happy to come back as you see
Oh,
fit. So,
absolutely. Love to have you on.
Anyone watching, if you want to check out Attack on Show, I
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys coming over. There's a great episode on there with Harley where we got some inside access. Hopefully, you'll be back soon.
And some from Royal Star Film Festival,
Yeah.
some music, a lot of different fun guests.
yeah, we
And you get to drink booze on your show and beer.
Yes, there are beer, and actually, we just on the
I almost have
upcoming
to come
episode.
back just for that.
Yeah, and anytime you want to come back, we had our first. You'll be interested in this. We had our first inaugural Attack on Show wine glass handed out for a special guest that'll be on the next episode. So
Nice.
yeah, we're expanding our merch.
Yeah, right. You got to get a wine sponsor.
Yeah.
Did you talk to Cabresto
No,
Tequila?
I still need to get some
All
tequila.
right. And he's down by you too. I gotta get a hold of him and link you guys up. All right, that's
has been
all
fun.
from Access Harleywood for today. I think we might have even gone over by a minute, but what a blast! Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you.